In 1994, Steve Jobs said, "The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller." And he was right. When you watch some of the most iconic CEOs speak, you'll realize that they have perfected the art of storytelling. But how do their stories actually look like? In this video, you discover 3 incredible stories of the CEO of Meta, the CEO of Microsoft, and the CEO of WeWork. First story, Sheryl Sandberg, who was the COO of Meta.
I went to college across the river at Harvard, and I took a class, European Intellectual History. You have to love that, right? How much would I kill to take that class now? I took it with my roommate, Carrie, who was a brilliant literature student. We were seniors, and my brother, David, who was a sophomore and a water polo playing pre-med. Not as into the subject as we were. Carrie went to every lecture and read all the books in the original languages. No, not a joke. I went to all the lectures and ran all the books in English. My brother went to 2 lectures, read 1 book, marched himself up to our room, plopped himself down on our couch for 3 nights to get tutored for the exam. We sat for the exam, and we walked out of the exam, and we looked at each other and said, "How'd you do?" And Carrie said, "I'm not sure I fully explained the Hegelian dialectic." And I said, "I don't know if I really connected Locke's theory of property to the philosophers who followed." My brother said, "I got the flat one." The flat what? The flat A. Not the A minus, not the B plus, the flat A. We looked at him and said, "You don't know anything." That story illustrates what the research tells us. Relative to levels of performance, men get theirs wrong slightly high. Women get theirs wrong slightly low. Even more importantly, men ascribe success to their own skills. If you ask a man why he did something well, he'll say, "Because I'm good. I have those skills, and that's a good thing." If you ask a woman why she did something well, why she was successful, she will ascribe her success to hard work, help from other people, and getting lucky.
What Sheryl does extremely well is that she has this very relatable and fun style of telling stories. But let's now check out another story. That next storyteller has a very different style, much more casual, but at the same time very captivating as well. Second story, Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft.
The last interview by the last interviewer when I was interviewing at Microsoft was also a life-changing moment for me. So I went through this interview. It was all code on screen at that time, and so this guy sort of says, "Hey, here's a question for you. You're at the crossroads, a baby falls and is crying. What'll you do?" And I say, "Wow, this is some search algorithm I didn't learn. It must be some variant of some traveling salesman problem or something." And I sort of really thought about it for a few minutes, and then I said, "I'll go to the phone booth and call 911. This was pre-smartphone. So he gets up, he escorts me out, and he says, "You know what? You need to develop some empathy, because when a baby falls, you pick them up and hug them first before you call." And I thought, that's it. I'm definitely not going to get this job. And lo and behold, I did get the job. But nevertheless, I mean, I really think that that's so core. And some people say, well, like, what does that have to do with sort of business? Or what does it have to do with work? And I believe it has everything to do with work. I believe if you sort of say innovation is all about meeting unmet, unarticulated needs of customers, where is that source of your ability to get in touch with that unmet, unarticulated need going to come from? It's going to come from your ability to, in some sense, be able to listen between the lines, to be able to extrapolate, and that's, to me, deep sense of empathy, right?
In all of his speeches, Satya shares those tiny stories that show a little bit more about his personality. Well, most of the times he's actually talking about his love for cricket. Those small stories make him appear as more approachable. It is as if he wasn't this mega CEO, but rather just this average dude, just like us, right? But let's now move to the last story. And that story is by someone, I would say quite controversial, but who at the same time is also an incredible storyteller. Third story, Neumann, who was the CEO of WeWork.
until at the age of 28, I luckily met my then girlfriend, today wife, Rebecca. And within 3 minutes of our first meeting, she looks at me and she goes, "You have a lot of potential, but you're full of shit." And I said, wait, we just met. Don't you know who I am? Look. And I said, how would you know? And she said, you know what? You're coming to a first date, right? And I said, I am. And she said, you're all sweaty. What, do you come here on your bicycle? And I said, I actually did come here on my bicycle. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm saving money. She said, as I said, you talk this big talk, you're broke. I said, you don't know that I'm broke. And she said, yes, I do. I can tell. Anybody who talks about money doesn't have any. And she said, I said, it's not that, you don't understand. I have a baby clothing company. You said horrible ideas. It's called Crawlers, for babies in motion. And with a tagline, just because they don't tell you doesn't mean they don't hurt. It did not work out at all. It did not work out at all. I have 5 kids, thank God, today, and they never complained when they were crawling about their knees, so it was really a stupid idea. So I turned to Rebecca, and she looks at me, and the first time someone talked to me that way, and she said to me, you know what your problem is? You don't understand the game of life. And I said, the game of life? Of course I do. She said, prove it. What does success mean? I said, success is whoever dies the oldest with the most money. She looked at me and said, exactly. You do not understand the game of life. And I was so intrigued. I said, well, why don't you tell me what success means? She said, success is the person who at their 80s is surrounded by the most loved ones, the most family members, has created the most impact on this planet, has connected to something greater than themselves, and don't forget, had a great time doing it. I was so blown away by that I immediately did 2 things. 1, I proposed within 30 days, even though we just met, and that was the best decision I made in my life. And 2, I decided that I'm going to explore this spiritual practice called the game of life.
And what Adam does extremely well is that he takes us into that surprising conversation that he had with his wife. There's this one moment where his wife says, "You have a lot of potential, but you're full of shit." That moment is just so unexpected, so memorable. Sheryl, Satya, and Adam, they're all wonderful storytellers. But hey, they didn't start that way. They spent years mastering the art of storytelling. But don't worry, you don't have to spend years on that. To find out what techniques they use, check out this next video where I share some of the most powerful storytelling techniques that are out there. Enjoy.